Otakuology podcast with Otaku Mike Engine Graves.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Otakuology podcast. I'm your host, Otaku Mike, and with me, as always, is my favorite dwarf, Jen Graves.
Are you talking about that one time when I accidentally walked into a fairy ring or a circle of mushrooms?
Yes, exactly.
A changeling circle?
And we are on the last two episodes of season 1 of Delicious in Dungeons. Episodes 23 and 24, I believe.
Is this true?
Yeah, which episode 23 is Griffin Soup and Dumplings, part 1 is what we're looking at first. Are you excited to finally be done with Delicious in Dungeons?
Yeah, yes and no.
Yes and no?
Yeah, I mean, I know we'll get a season 2 at some point.
Oh, they already
That we'll
announced
cover.
it.
Yeah. But it's, because it's I kind of thought we'd have more time writing out with this one instead of turning around basically, like we would kind of go where we had time, where we had more Delicious in Dungeon by the time Cyberpunk ended, so we could kind of get hooked on another series.
Well, if we did episodes one at a time, we might be able to stretch it out.
Oh no, that would take too long.
But we did 2 episodes in a podcast.
No. But you know what I'm saying,
Yeah,
like
no, I know
how
what
it's
you're
all
saying.
laid out. So
Yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't expect them. I figured they were just going to go all the way through, but I guess not.
No. I thought they would honestly go to like 25 episodes.
Yeah.
Do like 25 and 25 and have like a good like solid 50 episodes.
Maybe they'll do a Christmas special.
A Christmas special? Ooh, we can only
Yeah.
hope. With Kelly Clarkson?
Who's she going to voice?
I don't know.
So, follow-up question to what you said. So, if you went through a fairy ring, what would you turn into?
Oh, I don't know. That's a very good question. I would probably lose my beard.
You feel like you'd turn into like a half man, like a chill chuck?
Maybe like a chill chuck or like a yeah, I'll probably lose my beard and maybe
We're both getting short today, buddy. We're both getting short today.
Okay.
But in unison of all that stuff,
Yes.
if you haven't watched episode 23, you need to.
Yeah.
Because the second half is what we were actually joking about. But getting into the Griffin Soup part.
Ooh, this part was hard to watch.
No shit.
Oh
at
my
least
God.
until like the very end.
Oh, I got something. When we get to the last part of this section of the story, I have something that I would like to say, but we'll wait to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the first half of this is where we actually get Senshi's backstory of what we kind of already learned the previous episode.
Yes.
Of why he was scared of the Griffin.
Mm-hmm.
And all that other stuff. So they were just trying to figure it out, like, hey, what is this? We actually get the story in this episode, which I loved. So Senshi was a much younger dwarf. I think they said he was like 206.
No, he's 36.
That's right.
He's 36 years old.
He was 36 and doesn't even have a beard yet. Anything.
No, little baby Senshi.
Little baby Senshi. He's got that real smooth skin.
Yeah. He's not like portly yet. He's kind of like a little fit.
And I saw a funny meme about this of who he looked like, and I was like, no, that's fucking right. He almost looks like a Steven Universe.
Yeah, no, I can kind of, with like his
hair
like slicked back and like a ponytail.
No, like his as a kid.
Yeah, no, he does. He looks like Steven Universe, but
Yeah,
like since he had like his hair pulled back in like a ponytail. That's what I'm saying. Like, you know,
I don't. I don't think he had it pulled back until later.
did he not? Okay, I don't remember.
No, I think when he went on his travels was when he got the ponytail.
I could definitely see he could possibly be like a Steven Universe who like just hit puberty.
Yes,
You
the
know?
older Steven. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and I was waiting for somebody to do art for it because I was going to throw it out on the Instagrams, and nobody ever did it. Like people alluded to it, and I was like, "You sons of bitches! I need y'all to commit to the bit, okay?"
You know, now that you said that, I can't unsee it in my head.
Right?
It's
Well,
like
so
the
like skimming over it again, getting prepared for the episode, I was like, "Oh my god, I'm watching Steven Universe, Delicious and Dungeon."
you're watching Steven and his tragic backstory.
Yes, this is
Oh
him
my
on a
god.
different planet.
Yeah. Oh boy.
So, I mean, yeah. Oh my god, that's hilarious. You're gonna be like, you can't unsee this
I
ever.
can't unsee it
I
now.
mean, I also can't wait for you to tell Otaku Tiff or for her to listen to this, and
Yeah.
she's gonna be like, I can't unsee it either.
I can't unsee. It's like the it's like the nose and like the face and like his eyes.
Yes, yes. I mean, it looks like if somebody went, "Hey, I need you to do Steven Universe, but in a delicious and dungeon style," like I feel like that's what they did.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's funny. But we go into this, so he is a young, spry kid. He went with an adventuring party of four other dwarves, which, do you have all the names for them?
No, I don't remember all their names.
Okay, because I don't remember any of their
I
names.
don't remember their names at
I
all.
I know he brings up two of them, and I kind of remembered it like the day after I watched it, and then
Uh
I was like, I'm gonna be for real with myself.
which
I'm not gonna remember these names.
they were looking for like gears and stuff
Yes,
in
which
the
we
in
did
like
find that out last episode.
yeah, in the ruins, and they come upon the remnants of this like gold room with like these
Yes,
giant golden pillars, which is we've already seen because our current the party is in that room. It's just stripped of a lot of its gold.
stripped of all of its gold,
Yeah, and
which is crazy.
yeah, because they're like, oh my god, there's gold here. Like they get very much like gold sick, like greedy almost. I feel like
Right, right.
in this situation, and they're like, oh, we got to get all the gold, which I'm kind of confused about. Is this are they in the ruins before it becomes a dungeon? Which I was
They
confused about.
they are in the ruins of the whole thing before.
Okay.
It was kind of buried under the earth, I would
Uh
say.
huh.
Um, and then I think sometime after that, it became more of a dungeon.
Okay. Because I
Um,
was a little confused. 'Cause I remember Chill Chuck references that Senshi was down here before it was a dungeon.
right, right.
So that's why I was kind of a little confused. Like,
Oh
how
my
long?
gosh, Chill Chuck and his past.
How long? Like
Chill Chuck's got a wife and kids. It's still
were
mind
they?
blowing.
Which we need that in season 2. Just saying. Well,
Oh my god, yes, we need the backstory for that. I want to see what these kids look like. Who
yes.
is he married to? It's gonna throw me off if he's married to a tall man or something like that.
I think he's
I
probably
mean,
married to
like,
like an Amazon or something.
oh, that'd be weird.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, especially because they've been playing up that Chill Chuck's like a kid,
Yeah.
this whole
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Um, but we get the party. They go in, Senshi's party. They
Mm-hmm.
go in. They find this. They decide that they're gonna basically like start stripping part of this stuff, and they're gonna sell it, and they're gonna kind of like make all this stuff and find these like old gears and other parts and stuff. And they have problems up front.
Yes.
They find out that there's something that's attacking them and whatnot, which is kind of weird because Senshi doesn't ever find that out.
No, he knows about the griffin, but he never like interacts with it.
Yes, we never really find out. It is a great mystery thing. I think this in a D&D campaign would be extraordinary for players to have to figure that out and be like, well, I'm giving you clues, but you don't actually know. You don't see it.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's more of like a mystery.
He never really saw it, and he talks about how like, oh, we were going through this dungeon. The dungeon was changing and stuff, and like whenever we needed like water or a place to sleep, it would be there
Yeah.
for us. And somebody even mentioned, oh, there was a woman here at one point in the night,
Yeah,
but
that they
only
thought.
one person saw it, like so like the dungeon like kind of helped them a little bit in a
Right.
sense.
Well, let me ask you this,
Uh-huh.
because this is something that I thought about with that. Do you think the dungeon at this current point, as it was kind of like getting developed, um, do you think that the dungeon in and of itself was almost more of like a Venus flytrap? Like
Mm,
it kind of was able to use different things to lure people in.
that I don't know.
That was one of the things that I kind of questioned as they went, like, because it almost seemed like anything that they desired kind of like
Yeah.
appeared.
I don't know,
And
because they did reference beforehand, like the dungeon would shift and stuff.
yeah,
And maybe the dungeon was still doing that prior, or like, when we were with Laios and his group and stuff.
yeah,
But maybe we just didn't notice,
that's true.
because they always had a place to sleep. They always had water and stuff to help out, or like restrooms or whatever, like
Yeah, yeah.
maybe
Well,
something we just low-key didn't notice.
and maybe something else happened that the Mad Mage finally was changing it, because
May
that could be another possibility too. I think is that the Mad Mage didn't fully come into his power until that point.
Probably, yeah. Maybe he didn't go full like mad, like
Yeah,
crazy.
like he was still doing like he was still learning,
He's still learning, probably
like
still looking for
like
okay.
what's the king's name?
I forgot what his name is.
It starts with a D.
I forgot what his name is.
I want to call him Dario, but I know that's not right.
Is it like Doja?
Doja Cat.
Doja Cat?
I can't remember his name, but maybe the Mad Mage. That's why he went mad, was because he was
Probably.
trying to find a way to bring him back.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see
I
that,
could see that, yeah.
and then that's he got fed up, and that's why the dungeon started changing.
Delgon.
Yeah, yeah.
Delgon was his name. I don't know why I said Doja Cat.
I don't know,
I
because you
don't
were
know.
repeating after me.
I don't know. But yeah,
I
sorry,
can
what were
make
you
your hands
saying?
clap. But yeah, like if that's the time, if that's when the Mad Mage, like the last time he started shifting the dungeon, was because of that. Like
Probably, yeah.
maybe he came into his power at that point, from
Mhm.
learning, and he's like, okay, I gotta find, maybe this body or something, and he can't find his body to try and resurrect him.
Yeah.
I mean, because if you think about it, if like the people being able to come back from the dead and all this other stuff is kind of happening,
Yeah.
who's to say that that's not a spell?
True.
So,
But like,
I mean, we got possibilities.
yeah, and like none of Senshi's party comes back from the dead.
No, but he also didn't have anybody that knew how to do that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And part of the bodies were just missing. So I mean,
Yeah.
we didn't know a bunch of that. But it is a little sad here as like everybody starts going into delusion. All the rest of the guys.
Yes.
The main guy that gave Senshi his helmet, which I can't remember his name.
I don't remember. Was that Senshi's dad?
No, I think he was just a guy that
Just a
was
guy
like
who looked
mentoring him.
after him, mentored him.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And they were like,
you can tell Senshi takes a lot of his style from him, though.
yeah, no, you definitely can. And like we saw them like one of the guys and one of the dwarves ended up dying, and they're like, oh my god, like we got to ration our food, we got to figure this out, we got to map out like the area, and they're like, okay, we're gonna kill this griffin and stuff, and
Right.
like little by little, they find some food, they give it to Senshi while they're trying to like doctor up this guy who basically died, and like they're like, okay, Senshi, like get your fill, and Senshi feels bad about like eating this food because he's basically has been sitting in a room doing nothing.
Right. Like, look, figuring out how to draw a map.
Yeah, figuring out how to draw a map, and they're like, all the other guys are like, oh, why are you giving the food to him? He did no work. He didn't help get the food. He didn't help fight the griffin. Like they're starting to go very much crazy in a sense, very,
Right.
very animalistic, kind of, almost like a Donner Party almost, I feel like.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Where they're like turning on each other and stuff and fighting.
Yes. I 100% agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Um,
And so they start to dwindle down and dwindle down. So they get hungrier and hungrier. Eventually,
and they come back less and less every time.
they come back less and less every time. Eventually, they have to kill the horse.
Yes.
Did you pick up on that?
Yeah, they tell us.
On what the horse's name is?
No.
It's Anne.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, oh, not Anne. Anne died a second time. And I was like, oh my God.
Right.
Oh my God.
So now we kind of know that since she's got a little bit of trauma there.
Yeah, he's got some major trauma
every kind of horse creature I find, it's got to be called Anne.
After the last time he freaked out with the griffin and he just went crazy, like
right.
So like, I mean, he has every right to be traumatized, I feel like.
This is true.
Because he went through a terrible situation.
Well, and so, two of the guys go out, the last two, this guy that gave Senshi his helmet and the bald one with the beard. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
But they go out and only Senshi's mentor guy comes back.
Yeah, because they get into an argument and they're like, hey, you got some food, Senshi? The one guy does, the bald guy. Yeah. And she's like, oh, but Senshi's trying to eat a rock, but the guy thinks like, oh, he's hiding food from him. And he like the Senshi's mentor, he like takes the other guy outside, and it's very much like left up like vague on whether or not if they got into a fight or if they got into a fight with like the griffin. Which I found to be like really interesting.
I kind of feel like both happened.
I got under the impression that possibly, like, he killed the other guy. That was the impression I was under.
Oh, at this point so far?
Yeah, at this point so far, like he killed him to protect Senshi.
I was borderline there, but I kind of had to reevaluate that because I was like, from what we've seen of this guy so far, he's not going to turn around and do that.
Yeah.
He seemed like out of everybody that was there, he was the only one that really had his head on straight.
I feel like that was very much like a red herring.
Yeah. Because he had red hair?
Maybe. Because like you're led to believe that he killed him.
Right. Well, and then they go out, and all that. He comes back in with that big hole in his helmet.
Yeah.
And
he's got like blood dripping down his face and stuff.
Yeah. He brings back the meat.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the second part I had to reevaluate because, we lead into it later on where Senshi says, I don't know what the meat was.
Yeah.
I don't know if he brought me the other dwarf to eat and I just didn't know that, or if it was actually this griffin meat.
Yeah.
And of course, we do that. We find out that basically the other guy, he goes back out and
he never
dies.
Comes back.
Yeah. So we're not sure if there was a second griffin. We don't know anything on that.
Yeah. And Senshi finally gets up the nerve to like gather all the equipment together. And it's all the
Yeah.
equipment that he still has to this day.
Right.
He's got the walk and the top, the shield part, I think he's got the knife as well. Oh,
Yeah.
the helmet,
Yeah, he's got all these, like, I would say ancient dwarven relics, because
Mhm.
they're probably really old from
Yeah.
these guys.
Yeah.
He's got all that, and then we kind of come back to modern day where he's explaining it, and they make the hippogriff stew, or
Yeah.
the griffin stew, and he goes, "This tastes nothing like that." He goes, I can only be led to believe that I was fed the other dwarf. And Laos, of course, like,
Oh God.
big brain Laos. I don't know. He's pulling in some cards here, buddy. Like,
I feel
I
like he was
don't know what it was.
he was pulling some plot device out of his ass, I feel like.
No shit. If you have watched it up to this point, Laos has almost seemed like a Bizarro character where he's just kind of like, I don't know, like, how things are. And he's been giving us little gold nuggets, right?
Yeah.
Of, like, him knowing about dogs, him doing all this other stuff, like being able to tell us about monsters. And I feel like because of what this anime is, of eating monsters, we've kind of like turned a blind eye to that of, oh, he's just a weird guy. Like, he
Yeah.
knows stuff, but we've turned a blind eye. And then we get like these couple episodes, and Leos just knows, like, he's like
He knows it.
Yeah, he's like the monster manual in D&D. Like, he just knows. He knows, like, everything about all these different guys and creatures. And you're like, what the
He's
fuck?
very much almost like a savant, I feel like.
Yes.
And
I agree
this.
100%.
Which is weird because he never brings the mushrooms up.
No.
In the last episode, when Senshi references the mushrooms,
Yeah.
and the mushrooms happen to be like changelings, is what they are.
Right. And I don't think they really knew that. But after, like, having that and, like, hearing Senshi's story, he kind of alludes to everything. He goes, no, he goes, what if it was a different person? What if it was a different thing?
Yeah.
He goes, and they go back to the episode where we had the little creature things that were made, the familiars.
Yes.
Is that what it was?
I think so.
Where Marcel had to, like, attack it, and he goes, well, watching it, he goes, it attacked with its back legs. He goes, griffins don't do that. They're not as aggressive. They don't do this. Da, da, da. He goes, and that mark on your helmet where it's fixed, we've been seeing it. Now we know where that X is from.
Yeah.
Where the other dwarf basically, like, got his head kind of kicked in.
Yeah.
With the helmet. We find out basically, like, it was actually a hippogriff.
Which is a half eagle, half horse.
Yes. So a griffin is half eagle, half lion, and a hippogriff is, like you said, the half eagle, half horse.
Yeah.
But I mean, when he starts explaining it, it makes sense. And he takes the meat and he goes over to the mushroom and he puts it in there, and they recook the whole stew again. Now they make hippogriff stew. And since he tries it,
he starts to cry.
And he goes, this is the stew.
Yeah, this is it. This is it. I've never forgotten this taste.
And you're just like, well, now we've come to, like, full fruition of, hey, it wasn't another dwarf that you were eating.
Yeah.
It was this hippogriff.
Yeah.
And I guess they just weren't smart enough at the time to know the difference between both of those creatures.
Well, I don't know if they've ran into a griffin.
Well, the dwarves. I don't know if the dwarves had enough.
I mean, I don't know if they ran into, like, a hippogriff.
The dwarves?
Yeah.
No, we know it was a hippogriff.
But it got changed into... The hippogriff got changed into a griffin.
We don't know if it's the same one, though. Yes.
Okay.
We don't know if the one that they killed now is the same one from however many years ago when Senshi was 36.
Yeah.
Probably not, because I don't think they lived that long.
No, and I think they ate it too, so...
Yeah. But they knew, and so from all those details, Leos was able to, like, do that.
Yeah.
But this part of the dungeon, I think, is just crazy because then we have kind of like at that midway point, we have at the end of it where they walk onto a tile
Yeah.
that actually has the stuff underneath it, which
Yeah.
I question why was the tile changed?
I don't know.
So I mean, liberties, okay? But they walk on top of it, the tiles push down onto a set of mushrooms, and our whole party is changed.
We'll get to that in a minute. But I just want to talk about the fact that so this might be a little morbid of me,
Okay?
but you know how like back when like in the Red Dragon episodes
Right.
when I was like, oh man, this anime went really like hardcore when
Yeah.
like Leos like lost his leg.
Yeah.
And I really hoped that, maybe they would give Leos like a fake leg,
Right. Right.
which I kind of was hoping
Oh my
that
god.
Senshi actually ate the dwarf
Oh my god.
and he just had trauma from it and stuff. Like, the anime goes so hard sometimes, but then pulls back and almost like takes a little couple baby steps back. Like, oh, we can't get too violent, or we can't get too morbid.
Yeah.
We have to like be like, oh no, it wasn't this. But I kind of wish like
Maybe they
it,
just know you too well.
I kind of wish it was. To
They gotta
be
be like,
honest,
oh, Otakuology's covering our episodes. That morbid fuck otaku.
like I kind of wish like the consequences of their actions stuck.
Yeah.
With like the whole leg thing, and I was really rooting for the guy to get eaten by Senshi. I was like, we've moved on to another level.
Cannibalism. Oh my god.
He's tasted meat. Now he needs more.
It's in the water.
It's in the water.
Oh my god.
Maybe
you morbid fuck. What the fuck?
maybe Senshi's had a taste for human flesh this whole time.
Like, I was just ready for like Senshi to unwrap Leos's leg that wasn't reattached to be like, hey, this looks like it could be good to eat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my god. Think about it. How much of an adventure manga would this have been if that changed?
I mean, just saying, like,
that'd be so screwed up. Hey, let's eat this leg.
Let's eat it, It reminds me of it was Fire Punch. In Fire Punch, the guy like he has regenerative powers.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, like he would cut off his arm and give them to and regrow it and give them the people around his village for food.
Yes.
That's what kind of it came to my mind. It was like, well, I mean, maybe he did eat the dwarf. I mean, it's technically meat,
Goodness. Then
and
I would expect the thing from The Walking Dead. Tainted meat!
Tainted meat! I'm tainted! Yeah. Like, I was just kind of hoping, like, man, I hope we go down this really, really dark turn. I mean, it was sad. It was sad and kind of dark. But I was like, I want it to go, like, really dark.
I didn't need that dark turn, mister. I didn't need that.
Anyways.
I feel like Senshi's character would have taken a huge hit if we found that.
I mean, probably, but, that's something that he would have to carry with him this whole time, like.
That's true.
Maybe he puts on the face of being like I gotta feed the children type of situation.
Oh my gosh, no.
I gotta feed the children and take care of the children because, like this other person took care of me because, they fed me the dwarf.
Oh my gosh. So if Senshi was like a Jack the Ripper and it's like, hey, where'd you get this meat from? Oh, nowhere. He kicks, kind of kicks like the orc body that he used, like, down a well or something like that to hide the evidence. Like, oh yeah, you guys have all been really eating this stuff the whole time.
Yeah.
Every time Leos has been like, oh, I wonder what that humanoid tastes like, and everybody's like, oh, what do you mean?
I mean, they don't eat demi-humans for a reason,
That's true, but they have.
Yeah, I mean, technically, yeah.
But then we move on to Dumpling 1, which
Dumpling 1.
I feel like we can talk about Dumpling 1 and Dumpling 2 together.
Yeah, Dumpling 1 and
Um,
Dumpling 2, and then eggs and bacon. Or bacon
yeah,
and eggs.
they kind of like lead
Yeah.
into each other.
Yeah,
Dumpling 1,
yeah.
Dumpling 2. I'm just gonna say up front, I extremely like Dumpling 1 and Dumpling 2.
It was fun. It was
Um,
fun.
They start out by basically making dumplings, like what we know. If you know, like
Well,
the soup dumplings,
you forgot about it. They find out that they changed,
we're getting there.
but they didn't make dumplings before that.
We're getting there.
Okay.
They
Okay.
make dumplings,
Okay.
so they have dumplings. You know, they use all the hippogriff meat that they make to make dumplings, soup dumplings. They're all good, you know. Um, so, but they, like we said earlier, they walk through the fairy ring and they've all changed.
Mm-hmm.
We have Leos, a tall man, gets turned into a dwarf.
Yes.
We have Chilchuck, a half foot, that gets turned into a tall man.
Yep.
We have Senshi, a dwarf, that gets turned into an elf.
Yeah.
We have
And Izuzumi.
Marcel that gets turned into. Does Marcel get turned into a half foot?
Yeah, Marcel's a half
Yeah.
foot.
And then we have Itsumi that actually turns into like a kobold, like a
kobold.
Kuro.
Yeah. Yeah, she's a dog.
Which is hilarious.
Yes.
Um,
I sadly had this spoiled for me on accident,
really?
but when I saw it, I thought it was a fan art.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, so the funny thing is I actually feel like that got alluded to, because remember we had the whole little thing, and we may have a picture of it on our Instagram of where they show all of these characters as the different races.
Yeah.
And I really feel like that was a spoiler without us knowing it was a spoiler.
Probably.
Because they took like Chilchuck, and they did it kind of almost like a bingo board. They took Chilchuck and they ran Chilchuck all the way across as a tall man, a dwarf, a halfling, everything.
Yeah.
And then they took like Leos, they did the same thing. They took Senshi, did the same thing. Marcel did the same thing. So we got to see all these different versions of all these people. And I kind of feel like what they did when they made that was they hid the tree in the forest.
Maybe.
They were like, oh, well, this is actually an idea we're going to do, but we're not going to tell anybody. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
it was interesting to see how they reacted to everything.
Yes, it was.
And how, like, their personalities kind of changed a little bit.
Yeah, based off of their senses and stuff.
Based off their senses. Senshi had sparkles and flowers all the time.
Oh my gosh, that was the most hilarious.
Which gave me very, like, Alex Louise Armstrong vibes.
Oh my gosh.
The whole time.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, it was funny to see because, like, they start off like you think they're like have food poisoning at the beginning, and then we find out like they wake up and they're like, oh, like Leos wakes up and he's like, oh man, what's going on? Why am I so short and whatnot? And he like kind of freaks out, and everybody else is like, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Like, they don't know what to do. Like, and they all have to adapt to their new bodies, which is really interesting. Like a really fun twist. I feel like.
It was. What I also think the other thing is they looked at it as well as that these new forms were actually better in ways.
Yeah.
Of course, we get the weird thing, like, do the ages change? That was a little weird. I don't know. We didn't really go into that very much for I think it to matter. I really think like that was I think it was an opportunity that they tried to take, and it didn't really hit. I think like they could have left that out and given us something else.
Yeah, I mean, I like that they got changed and stuff, and like how they adapted, and like, oh, how are we going to traverse this terrain
Yeah.
now? You know, how are we going to fight?
Well, I'm just talking about the age part.
Oh,
Like,
the
I
age
would
part,
have
yeah,
that whole part where they were talking about ages and stuff and everything. I think I would have liked it if they just did more fighting.
yeah. I
You
think
know,
I think they
taking
definitely
that
could have
out.
left that part out
Because
with
later
the
on we kind
ages.
of get where we fought gargoyles,
Yeah, they
and
fight.
I was like,
They get to
okay,
like that big golden door.
yeah. See,
Yeah,
but I would have almost liked them to fight like a cockatrice again or something like that, something we already know that they've beaten, and like, okay, well, how do you handle this situation now? Like,
yeah,
is it different? Um,
yeah. And we didn't really get much of the gargoyles. And, like they showed up and they fought them, but then like they ran away from him
right,
and
right. So we
stuff.
kind of got like our fancies tickled in that sense, I
Yeah.
believe. But as we go into Dumpling
I
2,
have to
which is,
say, like, one thing I
yeah,
liked was it's Azumi's she went to like that bloodthirsty rage at that one
oh
point
my gosh, right,
when they're trying to get through the door and like she's just like "Ugh," and like he like throws like a bell, Laios does, and he's like,
yeah,
go get it.
right,
Like all those little like touches like of like, you know, since she having to carry Marcel, I think, you know, and Laios is like, "Hey, Senshi, where's your pen?" And he's like, "Oh, it's too heavy. I can't carry it."
yeah, yeah.
And let Chilchuk becoming more of a fighter in a sense because you know he is stronger now.
Well, and he's bigger.
He's bigger, yeah.
So, like, going into, like I said, Dumpling 2, which is the first part of episode 24,
Hmm.
we go back into it. We have their gargoyles, they get a door open that they had closed in at the end of Dumpling 1.
Yeah,
Um, and Chilchuk, who's used to running away and everything, has these gargoyles come after him, and they're telling him, you're the biggest object here. Of course, they're going to notice you.
yeah,
But the thing that I also enjoyed is in Dumpling 1, we had this whole thing of, well, maybe my race isn't the best.
yeah,
Like different characters had different things like that. Marcel got like better hearing. Leos was stronger. Senshi's like, I'm more beautiful. All these different things.
Whoa, whoa.
What?
Senshi was beautiful the way he was before. Okay,
Well, he was like, I'm even more beautiful.
I get.
Uh, what was it that we talked about before we started? Were we talking about Umbrella Academy?
Oh yeah,
Uh,
he very much remind me
is
of
it is it
Klaus.
is it Klaus? That's what I was gonna
Klaus,
say. I was
Klaus.
like,
Yeah,
that he totally looked like a Klaus with that and
yeah.
doing the whole. Oh man,
He even kind of
Uh,
had like the goatee like mustache thing kind of going on.
yes.
Yeah,
Now I need fan art. I need somebody to do the thing with Senshi as an elf with his hands out that say the words tattooed on him.
it was like hello and goodbye.
Yeah, now I need that.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, but like I said, we had all these different things where they thought like, hey, maybe this is better. And in Dumplings 2, we kind of got more of a thing where they were like, oh, maybe these races aren't as superior as we thought they were to each
hmm,
other. Like, we're having problems and everybody has to carry their own burden. And
yeah.
so I kind of enjoyed that part of it where it was like,
I did
I'm
too.
I'm happy being me, not that you need to be somebody else.
Yeah,
So that was kind of I feel like a hidden gem, hidden meaning that was in
yeah,
this one.
yeah, yeah.
But getting back into the fight, we also find out the hilarious thing that if you are changed by the mushrooms at all,
Yes,
you in and of itself act as a extension of the mushrooms.
yes. That's after they make the dumplings.
Yes, this is after they make the dumplings and everything. They're tired of the dumplings.
Yeah, they're like, oh my god, more dumplings.
Yes. Well, one of the objects goes in between two of the guys' arms.
And they made a circle at one point, I
Yeah, and
believe.
it changed. So they
Yeah,
decide let's use that on the gargoyles.
yeah,
Which wait, we have to come back to this after they transform, okay?
okay.
But they do that. They have one of them to fly up, and they end up getting him.
Yeah. It turns into like a disc, like mouth, like
Yes,
statue thing.
yes.
Yeah.
Like a big wall ornament, maybe.
Yeah.
And then the other gargoyle is kind of leery, and they decide that because of how much Marcel weighs, that
They toss her.
all of them are gonna run in a circle,
Yeah.
run forward, and then toss Marcel up to them so that the thing doesn't fly through their circle on the ground. It flies through a ring that's in the air.
Yes.
And this is hilarious.
Oh my god, when this happened, I laughed so hard.
You know what this kind of made me think of? You know, like when your kid is little and like you and your partner are holding hands or something, or you or somebody else, and your kid's like, "Oh yeah, swing me." It made me think about that, but like if you were like really intently like, "I'm going to throw you in the air."
I thought about Gimli from like Two Towers.
Oh my gosh, Legolas, don't throw me.
Like, still throw me, Legolas.
Okay, Aragorn, throw me. Don't tell the elf.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the vibes that I got. But yeah, no, it was funny to see them like trick the gargoyle
Yes.
in a sense, and like it ends up turning into like a statue of like a cherub.
Turns into a peeing cherub statue.
It's a pink cherub statue.
And it still knows. Like it still kind of moves a little bit.
Yeah,
Which
it still knows what like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm stuck like this.
Which I thought it was funny too. In this, they're like, let's fill up the pot. We gotta cook part of these things, and it's just sitting there. We're gonna fill it up, and everybody kind of like Chilchuk's like, are you sure we can eat this? Like,
yeah,
where's that water coming from?
Yeah, like Leo starts to like bathe with it, and like wash his hands, and Marcel's sitting there like, are you really gonna wash your hands with that and then like cook the food? Like,
it's just water.
It's just water, Marcel. God. Which we find also that Kinsuke transforms as well.
Yes, he turns into this big demon bat sword with a skull on it.
Which I kind of wish he stayed that way. He looked really cool.
I don't know. Well, and he's still that way, right?
No, he gets changed back.
I don't think it's changed back yet.
No, he changes back because they wash him. They wash him off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because they come to find out that like they have the spores of the mushrooms on them, so that's why they could change the stuff. And if they wash the mushrooms off, the spores off, they would change back to what their original form was.
See, I thought it was more like the petrification where you were petrified for X number of time.
No, like they end up like getting like a bath of some kind, like when they're in like the dwarven ruins, and like
they're in the sauna.
Yeah, they make a point to like say to I think Laios that like, hey, are you gonna wash Kinsuke off? And he's like kind of hesitant a little bit, but he does. He washes him off.
Yeah.
So he changes. He ends up changing back eventually.
But then we have why this is called Dumplings 2.
Yes,
because everybody's like,
dumplings.
We're like, Senshi, we're tired of eating dumplings. Okay, it's the same all the time. Blah blah. And at this point, whenever we have this wall mount disc thingy of this other gargoyle, I completely thought that it could move its mouth, and I was like, "Oh my god, they're gonna stick something in here, and somebody's losing a hand."
I thought he was gonna eat the dumpling.
I wasn't sure on that.
That's what I thought. I thought he was gonna eat the dumpling.
Well, I think somebody put their hand in there first to like feel around or something, and I thought he was gonna bite it off.
Yeah.
But it's just a little coin thing of a face with its mouth open. Kind of looks like the basilisk thing that was in Chamber of Secrets for Harry Potter.
I guess.
Kind of, I mean, obviously a snake's not coming out of its mouth or anything.
Yeah. But because it's a circle, it works as a transformation circle.
Yeah, so Senshi takes all of these leftover dumplings and sticks them in there, and they get all these different kinds of dumplings from them.
One's like cheese, I believe.
Yes. I think there was, from what we know, there was like a cheese, a seafood,
I
all
think
these different
yeah,
kinds,
all these
which
there
was,
was like steak. I think at one point, like
yeah, which they were all pretty, it was all pretty cool because,
I
when they
liked.
first had the dumplings, Leos
Uh-huh.
actually brings that up.
Yeah,
He
they bring
says,
up like, oh, mine was deep. In my country, they're fried at one point. I think Chilchuk
yeah.
says.
Yeah, and so I
Yeah,
mean we get that, and I think that was kind of a part alluding to this part where, hey, we're gonna stick all these things in this thing's mouth
I
and we're gonna get all these different dumplings.
I love the fact that the dumplings looked different.
I
Like
did too.
it looked like they were prepared differently. I love the small little detail when they were making the dumplings, where
Yes.
like in Izumi's her fur was in the dumplings.
Yes.
Did you see
Yes.
that? That was funny.
Yeah.
Like I love the little details like that. I love the little details of like when they're eating the dumplings, like she like burns her mouth on the dumplings at one point,
Right.
and like just seeing how like they interact with the food and stuff, and when they end up changing the dumplings, there's a lot of it's a really fun scene.
Yes.
I feel like,
I agree. I think this is one of the, just this little one right here to kind of play off of the changeling stuff. I think this little pocket of stuff with the griffin and all of this, and like Senshi's back history and all that, like this made for a really nice thing.
hmm we
Getting
also
back,
we also find more about Laios's history.
yes,
We find out that he was a part of the military at one point as well,
yes,
and he ended up deserting the
which
military. He went AWOL.
that's getting into the second half, right? Of like
Yeah,
the
I
bacon
believe
and
so.
eggs
Yeah,
one. Okay,
yeah. I think I can't remember.
yeah,
Honestly, these episodes kind of blend together sometimes.
yeah, that's trure too. Because I know he was at home. He got tired. He left by getting like drafted into the army or whatever. He signed up,
He was
left,
like, "It's not for me."
didn't like it, left, and then kind of traveled a little bit
I
as like
think
a
he. I think
sword
he.
for hire.
I think then he goes back and he finds Fallon at the magic school. I think it
Yeah,
was.
well, he finds out where she is, and this
Yeah,
is after he's already been like a traveling mercenary or
yeah,
whatever.
and then they become like gold strippers.
And then he goes back with, he finds Fallon, and he just wants to meet her, and she's worried about him, so she leaves school.
Yeah,
Um, and it just kind of goes from there.
yeah. It goes. They become gold strippers, and they meet like Chilchuck and stuff, and they
Yeah,
form a party and whatnot. So like, yeah, you get a little bit more Laios backstory, which is fun to see.
yeah, we do. Especially after coming off of Senshi's backstory and that little snippet of kind of Chilchuck, and
Yeah,
like we've been getting different stuff of the party recently that is really comforting to see.
yeah. I get to know more about them and stuff. It's fun to see. And then we end
Um,
up in more of the dwarven ruins.
yes, we go
Where
farther.
is this where they do the egg analogy?
Yes, this is where they do the egg analogy, which is the thing that I like.
Mm-hmm.
We talked a little bit about this before we started the show, and Mike's like, "You
Yeah,
should bring it up."
we should bring it up.
Um, they are talking about curses and how things are in the dungeon. So Senshi brings up the resemblance of how things are with an egg,
Mm-hmm.
and how different people are like different cooked versions of eggs and stuff.
Yeah,
And when you have some certain curses on you, like Fallon is more of like a sunny side up, medium cooked egg on top of bacon.
yeah,
They're together, but you could technically, with a little help, pull the egg off from the bacon and not have to worry about anything.
yeah.
And he alludes to Itsumi's stuff as basically how Itsumi is all mixed up and made into one, almost like an omelet.
Yeah.
And so with Itsumi, you would need a little more practice on pulling the stuff apart for it to be an egg separated from all of the ingredients.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like I said, I really love this analogy. It almost goes with like the Shrek, you're an onion you
Yeah,
know,
you have a lot
thing.
of layers.
You know, you got being an egg. Of course, being an onion, you got a lot of layers. But being an egg, you could be made differently from somebody else.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was just a really good alluding to that. Uh, Now we're going to jump back to the surface real quick, where we have Shiro and Namari and that bastard Cobra.
Ugh.
They've kind of said that they're teaming up with their party to go back and find Leos's party and Fallon and
So
everybody else.
were they teaming up to were the three of them and not their party?
I think all three of them, they showed us that because, like you and I have said before, to include the entire party on everything is a bit much.
Yeah, because they was just the three of them.
So I'm sure they're not. I'm sure they're leading their individual parties, but they're not fully like. They didn't show everybody.
Yeah.
Um, and then, of course, like right behind them, who's coming down are the
The
party of
elves.
elves. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we kind of almost end at that point. It does set it up where that will be the ending. And then we hop back to our party one last time as they find like an old trolley car
Yeah. From the dwarves.
from the dwarves, which seeing this like in this setting of what we've gone through and everything so far is weird.
It's weird because there hasn't been that kind of technology in the world.
Yes, I mean, and it looks like things that we have. Like if you were going to go
Yeah.
skiing or anything like that, that's what it looks like.
Yeah, it very much looks like I don't want to say like steampunk esque, but like maybe like turn of the century, like just getting like technology and stuff like that. You
Oh,
know?
I mean, I totally felt it was like one of our like trolleys or something like that, like
Yeah, and
automatically.
they mentioned that like they were in like a arms race almost, but for technology
Yeah,
with the elves, and they like fought over like who could have the best technology and stuff.
right, right,
Which they were like, oh, we can't do this anymore. You know,
right. So I
that's why
mean,
technology hasn't gone any further.
yeah. Well, and we don't know where the dwarves are at either.
Which can
You
you
know.
imagine? Delicious in Dungeons 2099.
Oh my gosh, no, that would be crazy.
Yeah,
Um, but we have them going down. We have a little more talking about things.
they
We
figure
do
out what
get
they're
a
gonna do with Fallon.
right. We do get a jump back where we see Chimera Fallon
Yeah,
and
she wants
where
to eat a
she
mushroom.
yeah where she gets scolded by the Mad Mage.
Yeah, he's like,
So
hey, don't eat that.
yeah, so we kind of get some weird stuff here and there, and it's kind of what are we going to go into next?
Yeah,
So I don't know if I liked as many cliffhangers in my stuff as they gave us.
yeah, because
With jumping between
They
all
go
this,
forward with like what they're gonna do supposedly next season, which is Cabra and the group with Shiro and Namari and the elves are
right?
coming down to like figure out what to do, and then like Laios and his party want to eat the bottom half of Fallon,
Kind of, yeah.
kind of, and give her a new body.
Yes,
I think that's what it was.
trying to come up with a game plan. Well,
Yeah,
I think in his instance, he said if we could basically eat those off, then Fallon would technically be on the inside.
maybe.
So I think that's kind of what that whole thing was talking about. Um, but we get that. We get the little thing with Fallon and the Mad Mage. I mean,
Uh,
like we get all these different things. Like we basically covered everybody
yeah,
on what to wait for with the next season.
which is, I mean, people were already clamoring for it. I feel like.
I agree.
Uh, I mean, once people are like, "Oh my god, did they announce the second season? They announced the second season." I think like the next day it was like second season coming.
Yeah.
You know, I had to
Delicious Dungeon 2.
I had to explain to my coworker at one point because they were like, "So is the second season coming like right away?" And I'm like, "No, you have to wait for it." It'll probably be like, I don't know, half a year maybe before it comes back.
What a noob.
And they couldn't grasp
I don't
like,
know, because me and my coworker talked about this, and I said
okay,
if they've been in conjunction of this, I said I could see them taking off like a couple months, and I said it coming back in like August, September, October,
uh-huh.
and I said I could see them doing that only long enough to have all the stuff, because I said how they've been setting it up
Yeah.
by getting it weekly. It it obviously is a bunch for the teams to draw all that up and everything else,
Hmm.
but you got to think about it like what company it is, what are they doing, and how they've been handling the workload. And
Yeah.
since they've been putting out an episode basically uh, every week, like I think they could keep up with it.
Well, who's
So
to say they didn't like stockpile them before?
that's true too. That's true too. So I mean, I would say probably around October,
Maybe.
we will probably get something like that. Um,
At least an announcement, I feel like.
it seems like October is usually a time when like newer shows that are continuations usually do that. Because if
Yeah.
we get another 24 episodes, I mean that's half another year. I could see them giving us a little break and
I
then
could see
jumping back
possibly
into it.
like January, maybe.
Who
January,
knows?
February almost.
Who knows? And of course, how things have changed. I don't know if they'll do a full 24 episodes again or
Well, I mean, I really don't want them to like rush into the second season.
yeah,
Like I want it to be just as well paced and well like animated and stuff.
right,
Like
right,
this. Like I feel like it gave it time to like, you know, do a really good job of the animators and stuff like that, like
right, right.
it wasn't all released at once, so we had some time in between episodes and stuff to
Yeah.
to
I just I don't see them being able to cover more or give us more episodes like another 24
well, I mean,
be, because
comic
of how much they've covered.
isn't the comic done?
Yeah, the comic was done at like 14, but you know how many we've covered so far, like we're on like book 9.
So I mean, we could possibly, I mean, the way they do the chapters, who knows?
Well, that's true too. I just really see them doing that as giving us maybe like another like 16,
Maybe.
12 to 16 maybe episodes, and that being season 2. Um,
I thought we were
but
going to stop with 16 or whatever this season.
that's what I thought, but or 18, and we never did.
Yeah. Like
So
I thought we were going to stop with the Red Dragon.
yeah, I agree that too. I mean, we could have gotten 3 seasons out of this, you know. But I don't know, and a lot of different companies are looking at different stuff. I wouldn't put it past them to look at some of the other things, because we do have other like cartoon-ish series that have went and like had double episodes, like how we've been doing this,
Yeah.
to either splitting up and doing like a single one.
Uh-huh.
So like instead of like this being that, we would have had Dumplings 1 standalone, Dumplings 2 standalone, and Bacon and Eggs standalone. So it would have been 4 episodes that we would have just covered.
Yeah.
Um, I mean that's an option. I mean they may do that, but different shows do things like that, and I don't know why, but because sometimes they'll do 2, or sometimes they'll increase it and do less. I don't know.
Yeah. And we'll have to see. I just hope it
Yeah,
stays to the high caliber that the show is at the moment. And also
oh, I'm sure it will.
they're gonna have to have time to dub it and stuff and
Yeah,
all that. So like I think it's gonna be like a couple months to maybe to next year almost, I feel like,
yeah.
before we get a
I
season
mean,
2.
I mean, I could see them jumping in though and getting it all done in a week. Not saying that it'll come out in a week, but I could see them doing every episode for a week, kind of like the setup is now, and having it drawn and dubbed and everything else.
Well, let's see how fast they work. Or maybe they were working on it while season 1 was going on, so we don't know.
That's true too.
We don't know. But
So
what did you think as a whole with these
of
episodes?
of these 2 episodes,
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5. I like the Senshi stuff. I liked both of the dumpling things. I like bacon and eggs. I really felt like just the creature setup was a little weird in some of these.
Mm. I'll give it a 4 as well, but I kind of feel like towards the end a little anticlimactic a little bit.
Yeah,
It was a weird place to stop the show.
that's true. I agree with that, and I just think they gave us too much. Like if we would have really just focused on if we would have really focused on maybe if like at the end of the dumplings one they would have given us little elves and everybody coming down into the dungeon.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then they gave us where the party was talking about all the stuff.
Yeah.
And then maybe we got a little cutscene where it was Fallon trying to do stuff and the Mad Maid scolding her. That would have been fine. But as you and I have had the problem before, like when we start throwing everybody in, like there's too much.
I
And knowing that Namari and Shiro and Kuro like seems stressful because I'm like, oh my god, we're gonna have to cover all these and
yeah.
use names again and try and figure out what the names are again. And then like icing on the fucking cake is like, oh yeah, there's also a whole group of elves that there's like 9 of those guys.
Yeah.
And now we're gonna have to know those names too.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, no.
I have to say though, like, so I know this is like a common problem with like most manga.
Yeah.
Usually the ending kind of falls flat. I really hope the ending doesn't fall flat in this series.
Well, if it's from what I've seen, and I only got like a slight spoiler of that from actually using the Delicious and Dungeon and Wikia
Uh-huh.
to know the names that we've used a couple times. Like, whenever we were covering like the Red Dragon episodes was when the last chapters were coming
Oh,
out.
really?
So like I'd look over on the little sidebar and it'd say, oh, this, and it would give you a little synopsis like, oh shit. I
That's
do
funny.
not need to know this. But I'd see it, and so I think I actually did get the last chapter. It seems like it's going to end like every like good D&D campaign, you know, or anything like that. Like we're going to have this little like fun thing of everybody being together.
Yeah.
So it's
No
just about
spoilers.
what we're really going to get out of
No
the rest of it.
spoilers.
And
It's all
journey
about
there.
the power of friendship.
I mean, the only spoiler of any of that I could give you is they're sitting at a table.
Okay.
So I mean, that's it. And I don't even know who all is sitting at the table.
Okay.
So
I hope we have more consequences to their actions going forward.
maybe,
I hope eventually somebody loses a limb, like
but
Leo should have.
and then somebody eats it.
I hope.
You
I
nasty motherfucker!
I hope
I'm
going-
so done with you.
Going forward, I hope somebody actually dies and
I just
stays
need
dead.
somebody to get mutilated and then cannibalism. Okay,
I just need somebody to die and actually stay dead.
you're so sick. I can't believe you. It is. It's going to be the Mad Mage. Okay,
No, we'll have to see.
I don't
Okay?
know if that's going to happen. I'm not sure.
But
No
yeah,
spoiler there. I don't know if that's true. So nobody listen to that and go, "Oh man, the Mad Mage is going to die." I don't know.
I have
Okay.
I have to say this has been a lot more fun to cover than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
To be honest, because like when I heard food anime, I just thought of, oh, it's a food anime.
Yeah.
I really didn't know we would get like all this lore and backstory and like action and adventure.
Do you think that this would make you try other food anime
No.
that aren't
No,
that one?
no, this is a special one.
Oh
This is like lightning in a bottle. I feel like.
my
Okay,
gosh.
let me put it to you like this.
Okay.
I feel like it's now. Go with me on this.
Oh my god. Percy Jackson?
No, so like it is to what Full Metal Alchemist is to shonen manga. in anime. How it was so different than a lot of other shonen anime.
Yeah.
Like, this is that for food anime, I feel like.
Or
Like,
is it that way towards, dungeon delving anime?
I don't know, both probably. Because it is like
I
it is a subgenre of food and dungeons.
Yeah. Which I agree with you with that. The only one that's close enough, I feel like, to this that I've read is Izakaya Otherworldly Izakaya Nobu.
Uh-huh.
Um which, isn't it's different. I mean, I
Like,
don't know that, but this one's not an isekai. This one has so much other things, and I think that's what's
it's
enjoyable.
it's very much like lit the world on fire, I feel like,
Yeah.
and brought more people into anime, which
Yeah.
a lot of food anime don't do that. And a lot of like dungeon, like fantasy anime don't really do that a lot. Like, a lot of those get like pushed aside because,
Right.
a lot of times they're like isekais and stuff,
Right.
So
Well, and
like,
that's the best part, is that it's not an isekai. We
and I
don't
feel like
have
in this, like, very much like the characters are driving the story, I feel
right. Oh, I agree.
like,
And I also feel like you said, there are kind of consequences in it,
yeah.
where they do get hurt. People have died. They do all this other stuff, and there's not really plot armor there that's not outside of the rules. Like
The
other heroes are like, "Oh my god, I died." Okay, well, that's a possibility.
the only plot armor is the magic in the dungeon, like the spell that keeps
That's
people
true.
around.
That's true. So
But you have to have a healer around to save you. So
right. So I agree, and I'm sure we'll have to talk about it later on, because now that this has come to a close and our next episode of Cyberpunk will come to a close, we'll have to
yeah.
figure out exactly what we're going to cover for all of you. So,
So I really want to cover the new Ultraman movie
okay,
that's on Netflix
yeah, as a one shot,
as a one shot. Yeah.
yeah.
It looks like a lot of fun.
So I've turned it on for the boy like 3 times already,
Oh, really?
and I think he falls asleep like at different points, and so
Uh-huh.
he'll be sitting there. He's like, Dad. I'll be like, huh? He'll be like, I watched this movie already, up to blah blah blah, and he'll tell me what's going on, and I'm like, that seems like such a cute movie. I was like, I just have to have the time to sit down so I can watch it all, because I don't want to get invested and
I
watch like
mean, it
a
very
quarter of it.
much it very much looks like a fun movie to watch.
Yes, yes.
I mean, we'll have to figure it out. We'll have to shoot some
But
stuff around.
that'll just be like, hey guys, here's one episode. I hope you guys enjoy.
Yeah, like, we'll have to figure out what exactly we want to talk about next.
Well, if we go off of what our poll was, we do have Ronin Warriors that a lot of people wanted us to cover.
That's such a long show.
Not if we cover it in pairs.
That was like, what was it, like 60 or 70 episodes?
It's not that long.
I don't know. We'll talk about it because apparently we have to cover popular anime.
What are you talking about? This is popular.
I mean, popular with the kids nowadays.
It was voters' choice, Mike. Voters'
I don't
choice.
remember. Did you take a screenshot of it? Because I don't remember that winning.
It did.
I don't remember it winning at all.
So I just pulled my copy out because one of my brothers actually bought it for me, and there are 39 episodes unless we cover the OVAs.
I don't. Is it streaming?
I think so.
Is it?
I think so. So the funny thing is, I got this as a birthday present, and one of my brothers goes, I have to right a wrong from the past. And like, I was very confused on it. I'm like, what do you mean you have to right a wrong from the past? So it's because I thought it was something he'd already given me.
Oh.
But I actually bought this when Ride Stuff was still around, and they basically went in and dubbed it and everything. And
No, it was already dubbed.
it wasn't dubbed at all.
Well, see,
The copy that I got, they only got the right
Yeah.
for. They only got the rights for it for the sub.
Japanese. Yeah.
So
So
I had the
what?
main part subbed, and I had the OVAs dubbed.
So if I remember correctly, the dub version is the Ronin Warriors cut.
Yeah.
And I think the sub version is the Samurai Troopers cut.
Yeah.
So which one are we going to do if we do it? Samurai Troopers or Ronin Warriors?
Now it's all just called Samurai Troopers.
Is it okay?
Yeah. So like the one that I have is just called Samurai Troopers.
So wait, do we get the Ronin Warriors theme song?
Oh, I hope so. I hope so. I haven't watched this yet though, because I knew we were gonna talk about covering it and everything. So I was like, I'm gonna wait,
Well,
and I'm not gonna cover it yet.
I'll have to think about that because I'll have to find if it's streaming anywhere, all of it. So I have to look and see.
I know the Blu-ray right now is like I think $30.
I don't know.
So
I can't spend $30 at the moment.
And the best thing is, because I told him, is it's got a slipcase cover.
Has it got different artwork?
And so whenever you take the slipcase off, it's got the same artwork on the thing, but if you actually open it up and swap it around like old PlayStation games, it's a different one. It's like the original one.
Yeah, no, Discotek does that a lot for their releases. Yeah.
Is Discotek who put this back out?
Yeah. They've always had a license for that.
Yeah, Discotek, Sunrise. I think that's it. I don't know these other symbols.
Yeah, Discotek's the one who put it out because they had the license. Originally, it was a Bandai release.
Oh, it says it features opening and endings collection, television promos, and trailers, and it's DVD versus Blu-ray comparison.
Okay, that's good.
And I know the other thing that's cool that I saw a thing on this the other day was they actually brought all the colors up to date. So where it was darker before, now it's supposed to be crisp.
Well, I was going to say, if you want to cover old shows, we can cover Cyborg 009.
Don't you play with my fucking emotions. If we cover one old show, we can't cover other old shows.
Why not?
Because people won't like us.
I mean, apparently people say that we're not allowed to cover old shows.
Although I do want to throw this out there though. The funny thing is when we were covering Digimon, which we haven't finished yet.
I don't know if I can finish.
When we were covering Digimon, that was technically a new show, and nobody likes that, okay? We would have done better to cover the old Digimon and then not worried about Tri at all, okay?
I mean, nobody likes Tri, apparently.
Supposedly. I mean, everybody complains about it, and they don't like to watch our shows at that time, and they just really like to hurt our feelings.
They were like, oh, we don't like this shit.
Right.
I was like, oh.
But you know, like from what we've watched, like that's what I've actually watched up to, like by myself. So I'm like, am I ever gonna finish this series?
I don't think so.
So, at some point, maybe.
Yeah.
But if you're out there and you're listening to this episode, I'm sure it'll be after, and I'm sure we'll also have Cyberpunk on its way as well for you to listen to.
I'm sorry we didn't get to.
Maybe you guys should let us know what else you would like us to cover on the podcast. Because if you're a loyal listener, like I know whoever is listening to this at the current moment, you should throw us a bone.
Shoot us a suggestion on our Instagram page.
So we can do Ronin Warriors and something else that maybe you'll like.
Like Cyborg 009.
Yeah, or what was the other one? There's another one that I was thinking of, too, that I was going to... B&A, that's what it was. That was the other one by Trigger.
Okay.
Where it's about like they're not dimmies, but they're science experiments that are like half animal.
Like a Beastman kind of thing?
Sort of, yeah. But it's more futuristic, so I know that's more up your alley.
Yeah. But
we gotta have tanks, and we gotta have mechs, And that's what Otaku Mike. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
That's what I like.
Yeah. That's what I like. I like me some robots, and I like tanks, and I like titties,
Oh my
and
god.
science fiction,
And monster girls.
and monster girls, and girls
Now
with guns.
you're like, all I need is girls with guns and tanks and stuff.
Yeah, I need a monster girl robot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, guys, thanks for listening. Suggest us something. Should we watch Ronin Warriors or something else? We'll catch you guys on the next episode.
See ya.
See you next Tuesday.